Right now, you're probably one of the only people on Earth who can do this. You can drink a glass of milk and digest it without getting sick. Your body breaks down lactose. Your intestines absorb the nutrients. You feel fine. But for 99.9% of human history, this was a superpower. For most of your ancestors, drinking milk past childhood would have caused cramps, bloating, diarrhea, and hours of digestive misery. They would have avoided it like poison. And yet, here you are, one of the few humans who can casually grab a gallon of milk and feel nothing. So when did this happen? When did humans figure out how to drink milk? And more importantly, why are you one of the only mammals on Earth that can? The story of milk is the story of a genetic mutation. It's the story of humans defying our own biology. And it's happening so recently in evolutionary time that you can watch it in real time, happening right now, across different populations on Earth. For most of human history, drinking milk made you sick. Then, roughly 10,000 years ago, something changed. A genetic mutation appeared in a small population of people. And that mutation spread so fast that it reshaped human civilization, nutrition, and survival. In just 500 generations, it went from a freak accident to something so normal that most of us never even think about it. This is the story of how humans learned to drink milk, and why you might have powers your ancestors would have thought impossible. Let's start with the basic biology that most people get wrong. Milk is a food designed by evolution for babies, specifically mammal babies. Breast milk contains lactose, a sugar that baby mammals can digest using an enzyme called lactase. When you're born, your body produces lactase. Your small intestine breaks down lactose. You survive. But here's the thing that evolution did. Lactase production doesn't last forever. Around age 4 or 5, most mammals, including most humans, stop producing lactase. Your body says, okay, you're weaned. You don't need this enzyme anymore. And it shuts production down. This is normal. This is what happens in nature. Once you're old enough to eat solid food, you don't need milk anymore. You can't digest it. Your body stops making the enzyme. And for the vast majority of humans throughout history, that was that. Childhood ended. Lactase production stopped. You never drank milk again. You ate cheese, sometimes, because the fermentation process breaks down the lactose. But fresh milk? That would make you sick. Anthropologists have actually found evidence of this in ancient human remains. Looking at skeletal markers and digestive analysis, they can tell who had lactose intolerance and who didn't. For thousands of years, basically everyone did. The Latin word for milk is lac, which is why we call milk-related things lactose and lacteal. But interestingly, the word for milk in many ancient languages has a root that also means poison or harm. The ancient Greeks and Romans didn't drink milk casually. They thought of it as something slightly dangerous, something for barbarians or animals, not civilized people. And they weren't wrong. For them, milk was actually dangerous. Their bodies couldn't digest it. Then, around 10,000 years ago, which in evolutionary terms is literally yesterday, something strange happened in the steppes north of the Black Sea. A group of people began domesticating animals. Cattle, sheep, goats. These animals produced milk. A lot of milk. And unlike hunting wild animals, which was unpredictable and dangerous, dairy animals could provide a reliable, renewable source of food. In a world where starvation was constant, where one bad hunting season could kill your entire population, milk was revolutionary. It was calories. It was protein. It was nutrition you could count on. But there was a problem. They couldn't digest it. At some point, we don't know exactly when, but evidence suggests it was somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 years ago. A genetic mutation appeared in these populations. A mutation in the gene that controls lactase production. This mutation did something that shouldn't have been possible. It made lactase production continue into adulthood. Instead of shutting down at age 4 or 5, it just kept going. For your entire life, your small intestine kept producing lactase. This is called lactase persistence. And it's one of the most dramatic examples of recent human evolution we have. Here's what's remarkable. This mutation didn't arise in just one person. It actually appeared independently in multiple populations that were domesticating dairy animals at roughly the same time. It happened in Northern Europe. It happened in the Middle East. It happened in East Africa. Different mutations, same result. Geneticists have actually mapped when these mutations appeared and how fast they spread. And the speed is stunning. The European mutation appeared around 10,000 years ago. By 2,000 years ago, just 8,000 years later, it had become so common in Northern Europe that most people could digest milk. In evolutionary terms, that's instantaneous. Evolution usually works over millions of years. This happened in 400 generations. Scientists call this one of the clearest examples of recent human evolution. Your body might be carrying a mutation that's less than 10,000 years old. Your great-great-great-great ancestors probably couldn't digest milk. You can. That's not adaptation. That's active, recent evolution happening to your species. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all humans have this mutation. About 65% of humans on Earth are lactose intolerant after childhood. If you have ancestry from Northern Europe or from dairy farming regions of the Middle East or East Africa, you almost certainly can digest milk. If your ancestry is from East Asia, Southeast Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, or South America, you probably can't. This isn't random. This is a map of dairy farming. Populations that practiced dairy farming for thousands of years developed the mutation. Populations that didn't. The mutation is so recent that different populations are still in different stages of evolution. It's like watching evolution happen in real time. There's a fascinating detail in this. In some populations, like in parts of Northern Africa, you can actually see the mutation spreading through families in different frequencies. You have parents where both could digest milk, then children where only some of them can, then grandchildren where fewer can. The mutation isn't guaranteed to pass down. It's not yet universal. In Northern Europe, lactase persistence became so common so fast that it's now the default. But in other parts of the world, you're literally watching the trait spread through populations, generation by generation. Geneticists have also found that people can develop lactase persistence even without the genetic mutation, just from consistent milk consumption over time. Your body can adapt. It's not as efficient as having the mutation, but your gut bacteria can adjust, your enzyme production can increase, and you can become tolerant over time. This means that right now, today, humans are evolving the ability to digest milk in real time. It's one of the clearest windows we have into how evolution actually works. Milk didn't just change your genetics. It changed human civilization. Before dairy farming, humans got calories from hunting and gathering. It was unpredictable. A good year, you ate well. A bad year, people starved. Populations couldn't grow very large because the land could only support so many hunters. Dairy farming changed that equation. Suddenly, you had a predictable source of calories. You didn't have to be nomadic. You could settle in one place. You could keep animals. The animals converted grass, which humans can't eat, into milk and meat, which humans could. With reliable calories came population growth. With population growth came civilization. With civilization came complexity, specialization, writing, cities. This isn't metaphorical. Historians and anthropologists have actually tracked how dairy farming correlated with population expansion across Europe. The populations that adopted dairy farming grew faster, spread farther, and became more dominant than populations that didn't. This is partially why European populations ended up spreading across the world. Not because they were inherently superior, but because they had a nutrition source, dairy, that allowed them to support larger populations. A genetic mutation and a farming technique gave them a numbers advantage. The ancient Greeks and Romans, despite thinking milk was barbaric, eventually capitalized on this. Roman soldiers were fed on a diet heavy in cheese and milk. It was cheap, it was portable, it could be preserved. By the time of the Roman Empire, dairy farming had become so important that it shaped military strategy and supply lines. Medieval Europe was literally built on dairy farming. Monks made cheese. Peasants kept cows. Dairy production was so central to the economy that it shaped land use, trade routes, and even architectural design. Medieval barns, dairies, and milk storage facilities still stand in Europe today because they were so important. Without the mutation that let humans digest milk, European civilization would have looked completely different. Without that genetic accident 10,000 years ago, the entire history of the world might have unfolded in a different direction. Now, most people think of milk as this simple, wholesome food. It's just milk, right? But milk is actually a complex biological fluid. It's designed to take a calf from 100 pounds to 1,000 pounds in a year. It's packed with everything a baby needs to grow fast. Cow's milk contains lactose, obviously, but it also contains casein proteins, whey proteins, fat, minerals, and hormones. It's designed for cow development, not human development. Here's something most people don't realize. Cow's milk has different proportions than human milk. Human milk has more lactose, less casein. Cow's milk is optimized for building cow bone and muscle, not human brain and development. When we switched from human milk to cow's milk, we switched to a completely different nutritional profile. This happened so fast evolutionarily that our bodies are still adjusting. There's also the issue of consumption scale. In nature, adult mammals don't drink milk. This is evolutionarily abnormal. Modern humans drink milk at quantities that are completely outside the normal mammalian experience. The average American consumes about 200 pounds of dairy per year. That's roughly 600 glasses of milk. Your ancestors, 10,000 years ago, even if they had the mutation, were probably drinking maybe 50 to 100 glasses of milk per year. Your milk consumption is 5 to 10 times higher than ancestral levels. This shift happened so fast that our bodies haven't fully caught up. Some people still get bloating or digestive issues, even with the mutation. Some people develop dairy sensitivities that appear later in life. This is your body telling you that dairy consumption at modern levels is still somewhat abnormal for humans, even if you have the genetic mutation. Here's where it gets weird. Milk went from being something that made humans sick to being something we're told is essential for health. Milk became the symbol of nutrition. Got milk? Became a marketing slogan because for decades, dairy was pushed as the perfect food. Calcium, protein, vitamins. And yes, milk has all of those things. But there's a catch. For the 65% of humans who are lactose intolerant, milk doesn't provide the benefits. It just causes digestive problems. And for populations that never developed dairy farming, which is most of the world, this marketing campaign created a weird situation where people felt like they were missing out, like there was something wrong with them. There isn't. There's nothing wrong with being lactose intolerant. It's not a disease. It's the normal human state. You're the exception, not the rule. About 2/3 of humans can't digest milk. 1/3 can. If anything, the strange thing is how recent your ability to digest milk is. A mutation that appeared 10,000 years ago is evolutionarily brand new. Your body hasn't had millions of years to perfect milk digestion. You're still working on it. There's also the dairy industry to consider. The milk is essential messaging isn't just a coincidence. It's marketing. Dairy is a billion-dollar industry. It benefits from convincing people that milk is necessary. But the science is more complex. You don't need dairy to be healthy. Many populations thrived without it for thousands of years. If you're lactose intolerant, you can get calcium, protein, and fat from many other sources. If you can digest milk, it's a useful food source. But it's not essential. It's not magic. The reason this story matters is that it's a window into how recent human evolution actually is. We think of evolution as something that happened millions of years ago. Dinosaurs, early primates, the origin of humans. We think of ourselves as finished products. But you're not. Your species is still evolving. Right now, today, the ability to digest milk is one example. But there are others. Your body has other recent mutations that help you digest grains. You have adaptations to living at high altitudes. You have pigmentation changes. You have tolerance for spicy food. Most of these adaptations appeared in the last 10,000 years. Some in the last 5,000 years. Some might be happening right now. This means your body is still responding to your environment. Your genetics are still changing based on what you eat, where you live, and what pressures your ancestors faced. It also means that humans are far more genetically diverse than we think. The mutation that lets you digest milk might make you fundamentally different, genetically, from someone in East Asia who can't. That difference is visible at the molecular level. It's encoded in your DNA. The other thing this tells us is that natural is a bad word. Milk digestion in adults is not natural for most humans. It's a weird mutation that spread recently. But it's real. It's useful. It happened because humans adapted to new circumstances. We tend to think of our bodies as fixed. You are what you are. But the truth is, humans are incredibly adaptive. We changed our diet, and our genetics adapted. We moved to new climates, and our bodies adjusted. We created civilization, and our biology evolved to match. You are the product of 10,000 years of human adaptation. Your ability to digest milk is written into your cells. Every glass you drink is evidence of evolutionary change happening in real time. The next time you drink a glass of milk, remember, you're doing something that would have been impossible for almost every human who ever lived. You're not just drinking milk. You're expressing a mutation that appeared 10,000 years ago. You're benefiting from dairy farming that reshaped human civilization. You're participating in an adaptation that let your ancestors survive and spread across the world. And you're doing it casually, without thinking about it, without knowing that your body carries the genetic evidence of your ancestors' choices. For 99.9% of human history, milk was poison. For 10,000 years, it's been salvation. And for the last century, it's become so normal that we forget how strange it is. Your great-great-great-grandparents probably couldn't digest it. Most people on Earth still can't. But you can. That's not normal. That's evolution.